Thank you again to Idaho Public Television for hosting the conference today from the studio in Boise. We encourage you to watch the half-hour broadcast of highlights from this program on November 1st, with a legislative panel immediately following via live stream. We're fortunate that we'll have Representative Amador from Coeur d'Alene, Representative Mathias from Boise, Senator Stennett from Ketchum, and Senator Dave Lent from Idaho Falls. We'll continue to answer as many questions as possible from the audience today. If you're on Zoom, please use the Q&A function, and if you're on Facebook Live, please use the chat to send in questions. I am thrilled to welcome Kent Oram and Ben Davidson from Idaho Central Credit Union to the program now. Kent is the CEO of Idaho Central Credit Union, one of the fastest growing credit unions in the nation. He oversees the overall operation of the credit union, including budget administration, management of security, safety, and soundness, ensures compliance with federal and state regulations, and implements programs to keep the credit union competitive in the financial industry. Kent began his career in 1984 as a data processing manager, and in 1986 was promoted to executive vice president. He has been in his current position as CEO since 2007. Kent believes that the key to a successful organization is employee engagement and is on a journey to build a culture at Idaho Central that is world-class. Team members have embraced Kent's vision, and Idaho Central Credit Union was named Best Place to Work in Idaho 5 consecutive years from 2013 through 2017, and then again in 2021. Kent is a longtime resident of Pocatello. He and his wife have 3 grown daughters. He enjoys spending time with his family, playing racquetball, water sports, snowmobiling, and trail riding. Ben is the Senior Vice President of HR and Training at ICCU. He also has a passion for maintaining an award-winning culture that makes them a best place to work in Idaho. He is responsible for ICCU's recruiting, onboarding, training, payroll, benefits, and employee relations functions. When asked, "What do you do?" he normally responds by saying, "I'm responsible to hire, train, and retain the very best talent to help ICCU's members achieve financial success." Prior to joining ICCU in 2011, Ben worked in the telecommunications industry, primarily in human resources as a labor relations manager. Ben recently published an Amazon bestseller entitled Get Hired Guarantee. He speaks regularly on college campuses where he shares his entertaining career journey from sales to HR to sales and back to HR as he mastered the art of selling his talents to businesses. The story evolved into his book about the new modern job search. Ben lives with his wife and children in Pocatello, where he graduated with an MBA from Idaho State University in 2001. He enjoys the outdoors, writing, and art. Kent and Ben will now host a discussion about talent development, culture, and the future of work at ICCU. Imagine, if you will, that you're sitting in Kent's office in Chubbuck, Idaho, listening in on a conversation that they frequently have.
All right. Well, thank you, Wendy. We appreciate that. When the Workforce Development Council first asked us to have this discussion, they wanted us to focus a lot on the Best Places to Work in Idaho award. And I thought back to when I joined the credit union 10 years ago. And 2 of the very first things that we did left a big impression. One was we joined the Best Places to Work in Idaho survey for the first time to try it and see how that would work. And the other was we read a book by Pat Lencioni called The Advantage, and it was all about how culture trumps strategy. And you said something that really made an impression. It's that culture eats strategy for breakfast. So I think everyone would love to hear what you meant by that and how that has played out for ICCU in the last 10 years.
Yeah, that's good. I'm not the first person who said that, by the way. Many people have been attributed with that quote. But I believe it, and I want to back up just a little bit before you got there. We did our culture survey for the first time in 2008, right after I became CEO, and the results were abysmal. And we thought we had a decent workplace culture, but apparently not. And so we went to work on that, and then, like you mentioned, then we decided, okay, let's see how good we really are, and survey our team and see what they think. And we'd had programs in place trying to make those improvements, and that was our strategy, that we wanted a better workplace culture. We knew that if we could become an attractive place to work in the state of Idaho, that people would feel more at home, And so we went down that road, and then we did the survey, and we won, and all was well. And then we realized it wasn't a destination; it was a journey. And you've been with us on that journey now for a long, long time. The speakers prior to us, one of the comments that they made was it would be good for business to engage in this workforce, in the education part of our workforce, and that's another part of our strategy to build a good culture. Is we're deeply immersed in the education of our youth here in Idaho. So a lot of those things have all come together to create a fun place to work. And one of the things you mentioned is we read. We read a lot. We read a lot of books, and even yours. So that's good. We enjoy all those things. How do you feel like our culture has improved since you joined?
Yeah. One of the things I feel very blessed is that I came in 2011 after a lot of that groundwork had been laid, and now it's to keep that moving. And one of the things that we read in the book by Pat Lencioni was that a lot of companies will not really truly embrace culture as a strategy. And one of the things that I love about ICCU is we put as much effort, not just money, but also goal setting and executive focus on culture. It has as much attention as any product rollout that we would do or any marketing campaign. The people side, we have as many metrics around that as we do market share or anything like that. So Pat Lencioni said that a lot of companies think they're too smart to rely on their culture as a way to get results.
Yeah. And it turns out the opposite's probably true. So tomorrow we have our semi-annual meeting starts with all of our managers from all over the state, and they're really looking forward to what? Tomorrow we release the survey results for Culture View, for what we call Culture View, a look into our culture, and every department, every branch, every operating unit gets their own scores tomorrow, and there'll be some happiness and some sadness. But mostly happiness. We have a really good place to work. And it's because of what you said. There's a lot of effort paid to that. Many companies say, we believe our people are our most important asset. Few can prove that.
Right. Yep, exactly. So tell us now what this has done for the bottom line. That's one of the next questions that everyone wanted answered is, well, is it just a touchy-feely culture, or is there some results to back it up?
So for a period of time, we were the #1 best place to work in Idaho in our category, the macro employer category. At the same time, for those same years, we were recognized as the top performing credit union in the United States of America in that same size category for large credit unions. And I've always believed, and now I know and can prove, that those two things go together. We're a top performing credit union financially. We are the top in the Northwest for give back to our membership as far as rates and services. I know those things go hand in hand. I know workplace culture drives financial performance, not the other way around. I just know that. And I think that we've proven that now over the last decade, that culture, you can make people do what you want them to for a while, but if you can get them to do it because they love it, that's so much better.
Yeah, there is no better driver of financial strategy than having people who believe in the mission and want to give extra, because there's no way as a manager you can be in the decision making, even 1% of the decisions that are made in the credit union on any given day.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, and folks who work for us are, we hope that they make decisions on their own. That's our goal, is that they'll make decisions every day on their own, based on their own judgment, how they feel. We have programs around that to help remind them. We have a very, very short and easy mission statement that we're here to help our members achieve financial success, and everybody knows that, and they just get it, and those are good things. It's definitely workplace culture, not just at a financial institution, but in my opinion everywhere, can improve the effectiveness of the organization, schools included. If our colleges and high schools have a great culture, then the product that they produce, our students, is better.
Yep. Yeah, I remember 20 years ago when I first became a brand new supervisor, and the gut check when I realized I really don't control my results. They are through the 12 people that I'm managing, and culture has got to be good because they're bringing in my results, quote unquote.
Yeah, so when you mentioned 12 people, then you've been here with us for quite some time, and we've gone from, during your time, probably somewhere around 300 or 400 employees until now 1,600 and growing, 150 a year, new jobs every year. How do you think that we're able to maintain, or how will we continue to be able to maintain what we're doing going forward as we continue to grow?
Yeah, one of the things I often tell managers in new manager training, which is probably, if not my top priority, one of the top, is make sure that we onboard our new managers properly, is I tell them no matter how big the credit union grows, it's never bigger than the relationship between supervisor and team member. As long as that is strong, the credit union is never too big.
Yeah.
So focusing really on getting talent ready for being a supervisor is important. One of the things ICCU does really well, I think, is identifying top performers who are individual contributors now. Maybe they're a loan officer, maybe they are a teller, but we assess their leadership ability and then get them into new manager training even before they have the title so they can hit the ground running. It's a 6-month process of going through workshops, and we teach them how to manage within the law. We teach them documentation, culture, finance, all those things, even before they're hired as a supervisor, and I think that helps us a lot.
Yeah. One of the things we're going to talk about tomorrow with our managers is the concept of, are they ready? And that's one of the things I think that we could do better at our credit union is sometimes, I know I don't think I was ready when I was promoted the first time. I don't think you were ready when you were promoted the first time. And I think that sometimes we're waiting for this "are you ready" moment when people really need sometimes to just harness up and go and see how that goes. So I'm excited to talk with our team tomorrow about "are you ready?"
Yeah, the next question that we were asked to go through is, what keeps you up at night? I love that question.
Yeah.
What keeps me up at night is definitely the labor shortage that's been talked about already in this symposium. And when I look at our applications per job opening, it's something that I watch really closely. We're definitely down over what we were 2 years ago, 1 year ago. We're not getting as many job applicants. Fortunately, the quality of our hires, I think, is still just as good, but we have fewer people to choose from for all the reasons that have been talked about. So that's what keeps me up at night. This is probably the first year that I've ever mid-month checked turnover numbers and checked the hiring pipeline as closely as I do mid-month instead of waiting till the end. But what keeps you up at night?
Remember in the olden days when we had a board on the wall and it would show, here's the latest position, and on that board there were maybe 5 or 6 openings, and now today, the board is virtual and there are 100 openings routinely.
Always.
Yeah, for sure, that's a very challenging part of what we do and what you do every day is to try to keep the desks full. And we're picky, so we just won't fill a seat just because. It has to fit. It has to make sense for us. I don't really have trouble sleeping much. Well, I worry about, if I have a workforce worry, it is that. Well, the governor earlier today, they asked him about durable skills, and he replied with "come to work on time," and another one that was just that simple. And it's like, yeah, there is some of that. There is some of that where I worry. Have we become a little laissez-faire in what it takes to actually make a career and how much work that really involves? And how do I teach that? What's the legacy I can leave where behind me people understand that and get that? And I'm not trying to sound like an old person who used to walk uphill both ways to school. I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to say, what does it take to be successful at Idaho Central, and how can I teach that and impart that to others who follow behind me? And how can we make sure that we remain a best place to work for decades to come?
Yeah, one of those sound bites. I love to share Kent-isms, sound bites, things that Kent says. And one of them is that if someone doesn't fit, the culture will reject them before the manager probably even notices. And so we were also asked to talk about what are some risks that you take with having a strong culture. And I would say it's that occasionally there is a mishire. Sometimes we'll hire somebody who hates walking in parades on the weekend. They don't like wearing the color green, or they don't want to go to a company-sponsored picnic or ball game or something like that. And they want to compartmentalize work and home, which is a little bit opposite of our culture. So can you talk a little bit about what makes our culture unique?
Yeah, I was in Moscow, Idaho, I don't remember what day it was, Friday, for a ribbon cutting. And a lot of team members from Idaho Central were around me. And that was my theme of the entire time is, look what you're doing. Did you ever imagine that you'd be at a ribbon cutting for a beautiful new arena that has our name on it, and that you'd be representing the credit union in public, wearing green? Everybody knows who you are. Yeah. There's nowhere to hide in this crowd. And making sure that they felt comfortable with that moment. And actually embraced the moment and had fun with it. Parades you mentioned, and I tell people all the time, hey, bring your kids, bring your dogs, well, cats, we have some trouble with that, but dogs and kids, there's no number of green shirts there's no limit. We'll buy as many as we need from kids on up. We're together so often during the work week, we might as well like each other.
Yeah, we even buy a lot of green onesies, so we start them early.
We do start them early. And the green onesie shirt photos are the best, by the way, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, anyway, so we're just together so much, we might as well enjoy each other. We might as well be a little family. Every now and then people say it's like a cult. It's like, well, yeah, maybe a little, but that's okay. Work-life balance is really difficult, maybe even a myth, because sometimes work calls and sometimes life calls, and it's really about our reaction to those moments more than it is trying to compartmentalize, like you said.
Yeah. So. Yep, really is. Another risk that we've taken in developing talent, I was asked to share one of those, and one recently, a failure that we had was we decided to try to implement one-way video interviewing for hiring, and we already have a pretty involved application process, but this involved asking applicants to record themselves answering 3 pre-recorded interview questions even before they'd talked to a recruiter. And applicants didn't really like that very much, so the completion rates on our applications took a little dip, and so we pulled the plug on that one pretty quick, I think a little less than a month. But we pay real close attention to the applicant experience when we're hiring, because it is a fairly involved process.
Yeah, you do. And we're here in a studio right now, and this isn't our natural environment. No. And can you imagine sitting in front of a camera trying to record one way your thoughts and feelings? We thought it was a good idea, but applicants not so much.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're back to a better way.
Yeah, so that brings us to the question, well, who do you want to hire? I know my answer to that one frequently is people who love to serve. We have such a internal service culture at Idaho Central. It's one of the things that impressed me so much when I came here was that every 6 months, each of our back office departments is the topic of an all-employee survey about how has your HR department served you as a teller, a loan officer, a call center agent. And it's like an NPS, a Net Promoter Score survey in reverse. And it's something that we take very, very seriously. And it's part of our human culture that is just it's as big a strategy, a strategic item as anything, products or anything like that. How did we come to be that focused on service?
Well, speaking particularly about what you're referring to with our internal service survey, that's one that I don't know exactly who the founder of that is. It's in the last 10 or 15 years, and we were looking for process improvements. We were looking for highlights of people who were doing things really well, and we started the first couple of renditions of it had a person's name attached, so it was not anonymous, either to the recipient or the sender. And our team they acted like they didn't like that, so we took that away. But now they just go ahead and put it in the comments that I'd like to, recognize this person. So we don't like anonymous either. What we've gotten from that is people feel like they have a voice. They feel like I know I'm closer to the work than you are. Here's my idea. Or sometimes they point out somebody who maybe for whatever reason is having some challenges at work, and maybe they're not being nice, maybe they're not being effective or quick, maybe they're not even being thorough. And some of those things get pointed out by that survey. And what we know is that we don't take disciplinary action based on the survey results of any kind. What we do is say these are opportunities for improvement, opportunities, maybe you're having a challenge. Sometimes people say that they have, my personal life and my work life are so separate, you're never going to know if I'm having challenges at home. That's just not true. No. And so, sometimes things like that impact people. On the other side, we try to recognize the positives. When someone's really doing a great job, their peers will point that out too. And, we make sure that they have those feelings of success and of gratitude and a little bit of pride.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Occasionally I remind our team members that just as much a part of our culture is employee satisfaction as that we're a high performance organization. So we're very demanding, but we also love each other.
Yeah.
So,
there is no reason to go to work and hate it every day. Yeah. I mean, you might have a day here or there where it's like, that was not my favorite day. But if that feels like that's your career, you need another one. And I've told that people who work for us just that bluntly, maybe it's time we do something different, and we'll help you do that. For a little while, that was misinterpreted as being harsh, but there's nothing harsh about that. That's completely pure love when you want someone to actually enjoy their life, the entirety of their life. That's just a good thing. And we try to have our managers feel that same way, that, hey, maybe this isn't a fit. We have a lot of people we've moved from one place to another, and now they're successful in another role. So it's just, let's just be happy at work. Let's get along. Let's not make decisions in the middle of a bad day.
Right.
Let's not also make those same kinds of decisions in the middle of a good day. Let's see what the entirety looks like, and then work together.
Yeah. Let's change gears now and talk about some of the tools that we use for talent development and talent acquisition. When that is brought up, some of the things that I always respond with, we have definitely cranked up our employment advertising in the last 6 months for sure. We pay for priority placement on job boards. We do social media ads to promote open positions. We do career fairs, employee referral programs, all of those things to try to attract a talent, because it's such an important part of our strategy. It's interesting though, when you go to college career fairs especially, it seems like service-oriented jobs are not what's in demand. They want something a lot more sexy, like a stockbroker, or to be the public relations director for a nonprofit, things like that. So service is something that we end up teaching quite a bit because it is not as attractive a job a lot of times. So one of the things that the pandemic caused us to do really quickly is to become masters of Zoom training. We used to load classrooms full of people physically sitting in a room, and now it's not uncommon at all for a teller training or a loan officer training to have 50 people joined by Zoom, each with their own little window in the Brady Bunch screen there. And my trainers use polls, whiteboards, they stream videos, they use the emojis all the time to make it an engaging activity to spend 8 hours a day for 5 days a week, 3 weeks out of the month in a new hire onboarding class, and Zoom works. So I'm a huge fan of Zoom now. Yeah,
no, we did. We had to adapt quickly. We had 700 people move to work from home in about a 2-week period back in April of 2020. And now we're trying to work our way through that. Is like, what does work from home look like at a credit union that in I would say February of 2020, if you'd have said, what does your work from home component look like? I would say we don't have one.
Yeah.
And now here we are trying to figure that out right now. We've definitely adapted to those kinds of tools. One of the things you mentioned regarding training is it's actually a tool also, but it's a soft thing. And we operate with what's called Slack. So we hire ahead. We predict how many positions we might need to fill in a certain area. And then we hire to fill those positions, not necessarily because we have a vacancy, but because we think we probably will have a vacancy. Right. And so there's a lot of times in those areas we're operating with more people than we need. And what we found is that it certainly hasn't cut into our profitability. It hasn't made us a weaker institution to do that. What it's done is allowed us to provide well-trained, well-qualified people day one when they start talking with the public. It's been an amazing thing that your team's been able to do, Ben.
Yeah, that's been a game changer, especially for the poor branch managers who used to be operating with a couple of vacancies, and then they get a new person and they have to train them, and now they have people hit the ground running. So
Yeah.
it's been good to see. One of the other questions we were asked to talk about is, how does ICCU help education? And I know one of the things that we'd talked about in the green room before coming here on screen was our high school intern program. And we're in the middle of changing that over to be an apprentice program now that the state of Idaho is working so hard and making it so easy for businesses to bring apprentices in. Can you tell us a little bit about the high school branches that we're now setting up as apprenticeships?
Yeah. So if you're a high school student, would you rather be an intern or apprentice? I don't know. We'll have to think about that. Is one of those better for them or not? I don't know.
Yeah, I found the programs are surprisingly similar.
Yeah.
And the state has some funds set up that make it really attractive and easy for employers to do a similar thing. I've been working with Michelle and with Roger from the Department of Labor, and it's really easy. I just send them a job description, answer a few questions, and they've done most of the legwork. But I think everyone would love to hear about how our high school branches started,
Yeah.
what they're about.
Yeah, so the former CEO had a connection with Mountain View High School as it was being opened in Meridian. And I can't remember if it was 2005 or 6, but somewhere in there. And there was some real worry when the former CEO retired in 2007 if I would carry that forward. And oh, heavens, yes, of course we'll carry that forward. We hire 4 interns or apprentices per high school. And in fact, I think when we open at Owyhee, it'll be 8. Is that right, per semester? So we have these 3 high school locations with interns in each one of them. We decided to involve ourselves at Mountain View High School at that level with a branch and an ATM, doing transactions for students, faculty, whoever wants to use the location, to just expose ourselves to that group of people and see how would that look, how would that go, would it be well received, would we have all sorts of turnover, how would that go? It's been the best. It's been so rewarding, and we have those same students work for us in our branches after school and on weekends, and some of our really top employees have come through those programs.
Yeah, we've had 2 branch managers that started as 16-year-old interns in high school, and lots of other great employees too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those things have a life of their own, I think, to some degree. The principal at Mountain View is now the principal at Owyhee, the new Owyhee High School, and he asked us to come along and open a branch there, and so that's underway right now. And in Thunder Ridge High School, we have one in Idaho Falls that's doing the same thing, and those are so rewarding. And they're in those schools, whether it happens or not, I don't know, but my direction to those schools is that we sponsor everything the school does, from debate to speech to plays to football to the band, you name it. There should be a green logo on it somewhere.
Yeah. In our last minute, can you tell a little bit about Stu Kent and what we're doing for financial literacy with the schools?
Yeah, we've offered a license to use personal financial management software as a classroom teaching device to every high school in the state of Idaho and Eastern Washington. So if a high school would like to use this software, we offer the license free of charge. It's very expensive on our side. It's a very powerful tool on their side. And if we hadn't had this nasty pandemic in the way, we'd probably be somewhere around 70-80% adoption across the state of Idaho. Right now we're at about 50, but we'll get there. It's a wonderful tool.
All right, excellent.
Thank you so much. We do have a question or two from the audience. So let me start with going back to the survey, the tool that you use internally. Audience member asked whether that survey could be shared, or if not shared publicly, what are the indicators that the survey measures that contribute to culture?
Take it, Ben.
Okay. Yeah, it's actually not proprietary at all. We base it a lot on the Net Promoter Score survey, which is, would you recommend X department to others as a good source of help? And then there are also questions about, do they make me feel like my question is important? Are they urgent? Do they get back to me in a timely manner? So they're fairly basic questions. By and large, the answers are overwhelmingly positive comments that are nice to read, but sometimes we do get some constructive advice, like once our HR department was asked if there was a way we could make a little more visibility into the hiring process for my employee referral that I ask you to interview. Is there a way that I can see where that applicant is moving through in the process? Things like that.
Okay, great. Another question, and maybe Kent, this is one for you. Is culture discovered or created at ICCU?
Interesting. Discovered or created? Well, I hope we create. I think if you leave it to discovery, you might discover something like I did in 2008, thinking we had a decent culture and then discovering that we did not. And so I think we've been methodical and purposeful in using this tool, using Net Promoter Score with our membership, the kinds of things that we promote internally with our teams, leading from the front, being right there with them, all the kinds of things that we try to do that a lot of people talk about, but maybe we're just a little bit more visible with it. I think we're very methodical, very purposeful. So from that point of view, I would say created for sure. That would be my point of view.
Okay. Ben, any last
Yeah,
comments?
one of the things that we do to create that culture is we measure how well our managers are doing at that. The frontline manager is so critical. Part of the surveys are you having a regular one-on-one with your manager? That's required at least monthly, often more. The team member, the employee, has the agenda that they bring to their one-on-one with their manager, so they get a huge say in what's discussed. They get their face time and can air whatever concerns they have, and their manager's there to help remove roadblocks. And certainly their scorecard is part of that, but it's employee-led, and we think that's important. And then the culture view, employee engagement survey scores, there's a ton of accountability that we as supervisors carry to own our score and make sure that we're being a good manager to our employees. So yeah, we measure it and try to make sure we walk the talk.
Yeah, and just one more, a little hint for folks, like if you like the survey, we do a daily huddle, and at our daily huddle every day we talk about one of our core values, and then on Fridays we talk about our mission statement, and we're very religious at doing that. Every team is asked about that, whether they do that. Tomorrow at our staff meeting, I'll ask the managers, are you doing this like you're supposed to be and being asked to do? Our teams love their daily huddle with their manager.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Kent and Ben. That was great dialogue, and I think it was an amazing opportunity to get to listen in on that dialogue that a CEO and an HR VP have that most of us don't get to hear on a day-to-day basis. It's really easy to see why Idaho Central Credit Union is a great place to work, and I hope our viewers across the state were able to take away some of your energy around talent development.